So I want to explain to everybody the primary business model of Secular Talk. And I also want to explain what was the beauty of YouTube and why that's now in serious jeopardy. But up front, let me just say, forgive me if I'm all over the place today, and forgive me if I'm scattered around here, because it's not just me, it's pretty much every other YouTuber in news and politics, or anybody who discusses anything even mildly controversial. It's been a rough 3 or 4 days, scrambling behind the scenes, trying to figure out what's going on, trying to figure out how to make it work, because it's no exaggeration to say there's been just a complete and utter implosion, a collapse of the YouTube revenue stream for pretty much everybody involved in news and politics. I mean, I heard that there were some exceptions, but everybody I've spoken to who are fairly prominent YouTubers are going through the same thing we're going through, and it's a disaster. So the thing about YouTube that I thought was great is that it is basically a totally free and open forum, and you can say whatever you want, and if you're attracting an audience, there are benefits to that. And what would happen with many YouTubers, their primary source of income would be the more views they get, generally speaking, the more ads are run on their channels, generally speaking, the more money they make, the more revenue they get. Now, I always thought it was great in the case of YouTube because YouTube has a giant buffer between the creators and the advertisers. So in other words, you could basically do what I've done, which is pretty much talk to no advertisers. Google and YouTube handles all of that. So in no way do you feel like a sellout. You don't feel like you're compromising your values, your belief system, your content, because the general rule is it's like the ultimate meritocracy. The more views you get for whatever topic you happen to be covering, whether makeup tutorials or cat videos or how to fix it things or news and politics, basically the more views you get, the more money you make. So I always thought it was brilliant because I get to come out here and talk about these things that I really care about and really believe in and give news and information along with my opinion. But also you attract an audience, and then, hey, the more people watch, the better you do. But that's the beauty of a totally free and open forum and a giant buffer between the creators and the advertisers. Well, now, at least when it comes to news and politics, that system has collapsed. We've discussed this story in detail over the past few days. What happened is there was an article written in the Times of London and an article written in the Wall Street Journal and some other outlets that basically were about how there was some hateful content that got ads. It was on, tiny channel with less than 1,000 subscribers, for example, in the Times of London article, where it was like a neo-Nazi affiliated type channel, and somehow an ad, I think for Kraft, got through. So the second that these advertisers saw that, they said, oh my God, this is crazy. We don't want our brands affiliated with it. Now, on the one hand, that makes sense. You don't want your brand affiliated with neo-Nazi garbage. So we're going to go pull, run. So what happened is giant advertisers all pulled from YouTube and Google. I think the minimum the hit was $750 million. That was a few days back. I think it's probably well over $1 billion now. And so they overreacted because here's the reality. The way the YouTube algorithms work, they actually do demonetize virtually all content that's genuinely hateful. The only time it would maybe slip through is if there's nothing in the title or nothing in the tags that's overtly hateful, but the content in the video might be hateful or not, or it's just on a channel that generally is hateful, but there happens to be a video that's not talking about hateful things, and then that video gets an ad. So, but 99.9% of the time, the ads are not going on overtly hateful content. You're not going to have, this like a tidal wave, a tsunami of ISIS beheading videos with, oh, look at that, an ad for Coca-Cola. It's just not happening. It's just a made-up problem. So their solution to the problem was the advertisers panicked and ran, and YouTube said, you know what? We're going to panic too. And now we're going to take the algorithm, which was already too strict, and we're going to make it even stricter. So, as I've discussed before on the show, we're a news and politics channel. So whenever I discuss ISIS, doesn't matter what I'm saying, doesn't matter what information I'm giving you, doesn't matter how anti-ISIS my segment obviously is, the algorithm counts that as the same as an ISIS propaganda video, a pro-ISIS video. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. So in other words, fighting against bad ideas and bad groups and giving facts is equivalent to being on the same team as those bad ideas or those bad groups or doing bad acts. It just makes absolutely no sense. So all ISIS videos demonetized. Anytime I discuss foreign policy, which as you know if you listen to the show on a regular basis, demonetized. If I mention Syria, Russia, Israel, Saudi Arabia, you go down the list, all demonetized. Anytime I do a video on drug policy, demonetized. So when you mix the advertisers running away and you mix the crackdown on from YouTube, where they overreacted, and they're cracking down on content creators. Secular Talk, which has 10,000 videos up, about 10,000 videos up overall. As of today, since this new crackdown, there are 1,000 more videos that have been demonetized. So there were already videos before. I don't know the exact number for before. But in this recent round of demonetizations, 1,000 of the 10,000 videos we have were demonetized. Now, that would be bad enough and a big enough hit on its own. But then when you add in the fact that the YouTube advertisers ran away and the fact that they're kind of specifically cracking down on news and politics, I'm not kidding when I say there's been a cut to Secular Talk revenue of over 90%. 90%. It's just an utter implosion. I showed the chart on the show yesterday, but I'm going to show it again here. This is Secular Talk revenue. Just falls off a cliff. We have no idea if it's going to come back. Some people are saying, hey, look, it's a glitch tied to the rollout of the new ad rules and this new ad system. So that number, those numbers are outliers and they're really low. Some people say that. Other people say, no, this is the new normal. Here's what I know for sure. There's going to be a cut either way. Even if these, the recent numbers of almost no revenue, even if that's a glitch, we're still talking a giant cut in revenue moving forward. And it very well may be the case that this isn't a glitch. Because, so on the back end of YouTube, one of the things I do on all my videos, like other content creators do, is I put unique tags, as they're called. So Secular Talk is in the tag section of all my videos. One of the new things that they lumped into the new round of demonetizations is anything religion-related. So if you have atheist in a title or a tag, chances are that video is going to be demonetized. If you have secular, that might be part of that group. So that would mean that almost every single video on Secular Talk has been demonetized. So this is really, it's really YouTube apocalypse. It's as bad as it gets. Now, other YouTubers are, how should I put this, not idiots, and they diversified their revenue stream much more. For example, only about 40% or maybe about 50% of David Pakman's revenue for his show comes from YouTube. For Secular Talk, it's about 80% of our income is from YouTube, the thing that just got over a 90% cut. This is where you guys come in. I don't want to do this. I feel like I was put in a corner and I have to do it. We launched a Patreon account. Patreon.com/Secular Talk. So we were scrambling. I didn't know how to do it. We were scrambling in terms of what to offer, how to structure it, so on and so forth. Here's the deal. The two main options on the table were take Kyle and Corin off of YouTube, freely available for the public, make it only paid content available for people who donate on Patreon. I hate that shit. I hate with a burning passion taking something that's already out there, already free for you guys, as it should be, and then saying, you know what? Now I'm going to take that away. I just think it's a douche move, even given the circumstance. So the other option on the table was, look, just keep everything as is. Everything is free, but just ask the audience, ask you guys to help out in a small way, which actually would add up to and mean a lot. So here's how we structured it. On patreon.com/seculartalk. I want you to make the whopping monthly contribution for me of $2. We set up 3 tiers of support. The first one is $2. The second one is $5. Tier 3, now this is where I went a little nuts, and for people who really want to help prop up the show, I want you to give the whopping amount of $7 a month. So I don't know if that ad money is going to come back. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I know that if it does come back, it's still going to be a giant, giant cut as to what it was before. So it's simply, the business model was simply too volatile. And other YouTubers are realizing this too. So that can't be who you rely on. What Secular Talk does, for those of you who, don't know maybe the details of it, we do about 40 videos per week. So that's 40 videos per week is about 160 per month, thereabouts. That's generally where we fall, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending on the month. But about 160 videos per month. And if you were to do $2 a month, that would work out to what? I think about $0.01 per video. My math sucks, but you do the math. 160 videos per month. If you give $2 a month, is Secular Talk worth $0.01 per video to you? Is it worth, what would it be? If 4 cents, 5 cents, if you want to go nuts and give $7 a month. So, think about the fact that we're a channel that generates 10 to 20 million views per month. 10 to 20 million views per month. And when this ad boycott hit, and when YouTube decided to crack down even further, we've bottomed out and we're making about $50 a day on YouTube. So I need you guys, and that's why I'm doing this segment. And look, I'm hopeful. I think we can get through this, and but I have to say, I really, really, really feel horrible for people who aren't in my position, where I have you guys who can get us through it. There are other YouTubers who have 100,000 subs, 150,000 subs, maybe even more than that. And obviously it depends on what kind of content they cover. There will be an exodus of YouTube creators. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen. Because even if it's a glitch, the really, really low numbers, we're still looking at probably a 50% cut to revenue moving forward. And that's just the new normal. So, yes, this is the worst case scenario. And I want to go ahead and try to switch up the way we're doing it, because it certainly isn't sustainable when it comes to how it was being done. And perhaps I was naive and others were naive, and we just kind of took for granted that YouTube would stay kind of this independent meritocracy-like system where you could say whatever you want. There's that buffer of Google and YouTube, and you basically get paid by having more views. It appears like those days are over, which is a little bit of a disaster. So moving forward, patreon.com/seculartalk. I really, really, really would appreciate it. Just look, the cost of a cup of coffee, that's it. If you donate $2 a month to the show, that would mean the world. I mean, the world. I don't know all the ins and outs of Patreon, and truth be told, I wasn't even the one who did set up all the particulars of this one. But a cup of coffee per month, that's really all I'm asking, and I think you guys will come through. It really is convenient also that right when YouTube really, really starts to eclipse, and new media, independent media, starts to eclipse traditional media, mainstream media, that all of a sudden, look at that, our funding is cut almost completely. The rug is pulled out from underneath us. I mean, this all started with a few hack job articles written in the Wall Street Journal, the Times of London, and some others. And then that led to their establishment buddies cutting funding to YouTube and Google. And then YouTube cracked down further on the content creators. It's almost like the establishment circled the wagon, and since they were losing, and they were really about to be eclipsed by us, if we've already eclipsed many of them, to be clear, but when it's clear that we actually started affecting elections and we have a real impact, all of a sudden, wow, look at that. They hit you where it hurts. They hit the wallet. I mean, could all just be a coincidence, or maybe it isn't a coincidence, and maybe this is the equivalent of the Morse code industry trying to kneecap the telephone industry. It's just an inferior thing that is being replaced. But the difference is they really have all the money and the power on their side. And I mean, it's possible they win, but really the fate of YouTube and the content creators is in your guys' hand, because we're going to be relying a lot more on direct grassroots funding to keep it going.